Fat people shouldn't be able to travel. I used to get actually panicked asking for a seatbelt extender. I would literally like have so much anxiety and like almost start crying because I felt so embarrassed and like everyone was listening and everyone was judging me.
As the fat person on the airplane, let me be the first to say I don't want to sit next to you either. Okay, I don't want our arms to touch either. I also like personal space. But frankly, baby, I can't afford 2 plane tickets. Okay, you're flying for $600, I'm flying for $1,200. All because you don't want my arm to touch your arm a little bit? I'm sorry, but we gonna be like this today.
The question was, don't you feel bad for thin people who have to sit next to you on planes? Fat people basically have to put thin people's comfort before their own. You can't exist as a fat person sitting on a plane. You have to sit there the whole time thinking, oh God, am I brushing the other person? You don't get to relax on a plane because thin people's comfort has to go before your own.
Shut the f***!
I'm hungry.
Because there's just there's no way that's gonna happen.
Fat girl fall. It's coming.
That was embarrassing. I really hope you're embarrassed.
Okay, what's the fattest thing you ever did?
Hey beautiful people, and welcome to my channel. You guys really surprised me in the comments on my last video. Quite a few of you were excited that I was back to uploading videos. I don't think I'll ever get used to having this kind of reception and support, and I'll probably never shut up about it either. You all don't realize how encouraging it is. To everyone who's clicking on my video for the first time, welcome to my crazy corner of YouTube where I talk about fat shenanigans and whatever else catches my attention. Today, that just happens to be fat people and their issues with air travel. Every aspect of a fat person's life can be challenging. From getting themselves off the sofa, to not fitting in a car because they're too big, or even running at a slow pace. It's so sad, it just makes me want to shed a tear. Anyway, flying to another country seems to be really high up on the list of things that fat people struggle with. For those of you fat phobes that have been on a plane, just know that you're privileged garbage for being able to fit in your seat, secure your belt without an extender, and able to pull the food tray all the way down without it bouncing off your belly. Apparently fat people are really oppressed, so we're gonna look at some videos together and learn all about the supposed injustices fat people have to face from the travel industry. So you already know the drill. Grab a family-sized meal and a diet soda because I'm about to start the video.
I ended up in a comment section of a video where people were getting very upset about people in larger bodies sitting next to them on a plane. The comments are like, if you're too big to fit in a seat, then you should be buying 2 seats. Like, as if that's fair and affordable. Other people are like, you get the space in your seat and your seat only. I'm like, I get it. No one wants the person in the middle seat leaning onto them. No one, a person in a larger body doesn't want you leaning on them either. But it actually blows my mind how ignorant and just like assholes people are. A person in a large body doesn't want to sit next to you either. They don't want to sit on top of you. They want to fit in a seat, fly comfortably, and not interact with you as well. So instead of taking all your rage out of a person existing in a larger body, why don't you take out your rage on airlines that make seats so small that we're all crammed in and you're paying a lot of money for it?
I really can't stand when fat people use the phrase existing in a larger body. They say that like they chose a fat avatar when they were born, but the catch was, they can't change it. Like they're just stuck that way, so all they can do is exist in it. Which we all know isn't the case, but excluding the percentage of people with conditions that greatly hinder weight loss, these people just don't want to lose weight.
Hi friends, this is what I eat in a day as a fat person not trying to lose weight.
What I eat in a day as a fat person who's not trying to lose weight.
What I ate at the fair as a fat person who doesn't care about losing weight. Started off with these Hog Daddy fries.
And these are the people that have collectively decided that it would be easier to attempt to change the entire world as it exists, rather than work on improving themselves. As you heard in the first video, apparently the issue isn't the size of their body, but in fact the width of the plane seats. What I'm hearing is that it's easier to hire a bunch of engineers, redesign and then reconstruct every single plane, rather than them make changes to improve their quality of life. A lot of them have openly expressed that they want to be fat, that they don't want to lose weight, and encourage other people to embrace something that can go away with a few adjustments and discipline.
So there's a TikTok that went viral a couple of weeks ago that was basically alluding to the fact that the original poster was anxious about getting on a flight early in case either kids or a fat person was sit next to them, and this went super viral, and I think they, from what I could see, they got a massive backlash, as they should, and thank God it's been taken down now. But I've been thinking about this TikTok a lot, and we are still seeing the world through the lens of the Industrial Revolution and mass consumerism and mass production. So how this affects things like transport in particular is everyone is expected to be the same size. But in terms of bodies, I mean, it's not just people who are overweight who have this issue, people who are tall have the same issue, and it's just as unfair.
People aren't expected to be the same size, and if they were, businesses won't be the ones to determine that. Airlines design their seats to be that width, to accommodate the dimensions of what they consider to be an average-sized person. The people on the extreme end of weight and height do not make up the majority, hence why they're like that. I do agree that legroom could be a bit better, but for me and a lot of other people, the width of the seat is just fine.
And to be honest, most flights I've been on, and most coaches and buses, sometimes even cars, like the seats are not big enough for even a straight-sized adult anyway.
Lies. There is not a single seat, on a bus or a car, on this entire planet that a straight-sized person cannot sit in comfortably. You're literally the only ones complaining. Not even tall people complain this much. Please stop spreading lies on the internet.
This is a hill I will die on. And it's that we can't possibly treat people in larger bodies this unfairly on flights. When you are a person and you're buying a flight ticket, you're buying the flight. You're not buying the flight if you can fit into the chair. The chair is meant to be the right size, and it's meant to accommodate for that person having that journey.
The level of entitlement that exists in this community is almost nauseating. When you decide to purchase a ticket, you are 100% purchasing the pre-existing seat that comes with it. The size of the seats depends on a number of things. That includes making them large enough to accommodate the average-sized person. It's your responsibility to check seating dimensions with the airline. Buy an additional seat, or take control of your weight.
So yeah, I agree with what a lot of the backlash of this original TikTok had, that it is the airline's fault. It's the airline's responsibility to provide seats that fit everyone. But yeah, there's all this attitude about like, oh my god, I have to sit next to someone who's going to spill out over the seat. They're uncomfortable as well. They have every right to be there, and it's not their fault. It's the flight's fault. It's the airline's fault. It's like, it's their issue that they have to solve.
I understand that it might be disheartening to know that some people don't want to sit next to you because you take up too much space. But it doesn't matter how many times you say it. It doesn't necessarily make it true. It isn't the airline's fault. That girl was simply expressing something that a lot of people have an issue with. They need to understand that thin people don't want to pay for a seat, only to have it hijacked by half of some stranger's belly, thigh, and ass. It's violating, and it's kinda conniving of them to somewhat pressure people into thinking it's the airline's fault. I literally came across so many of these videos, so we're gonna watch them together because they seem very egocentric and delusional.
I used to cry before flights because I was worried about getting seated next to a like this person. And it has happened to me, and it is awful, simply because I exist in the body that I exist in. But the problem is not me. No. The problem is the airlines. The problem is an industry that has made air travel so inhumane and so inhospitable to the passengers that we turn on each other instead of them. Because an average person cannot fit into that seat comfortably. A small person cannot fit into those seats comfortably, let alone a now average person, or a bigger person, or a tall person, or a pregnant person.
Baby, I can't afford 2 plane tickets. Okay, you're flying for $600, I'm flying for $1,200. All because you don't want my arm to touch your arm a little bit? I'm sorry, but we gonna be like this today. I wish you could just lose weight and stop inconveniencing people with your body. I would love to drop 100 pounds and not worry about silly things like my arm touching your arm on an airplane seat.
If you have a problem with someone's fat body, because that's what it is, it's fat, overspilling it into your seat, that's not the person's problem, okay? It's the airline's problem. So if it's affecting you, think how much it's affecting that person. We have a problem as fat people that space isn't given to us in the first place. So perhaps it would be more beneficial, instead of doing fatphobic TikTok videos, to use your thin privilege and mention that to the airline that it's affecting everybody.
Small plane.
Yeah.
The truth is they don't want people to express themselves because it brings attention to their weight and highlights that they're the source of someone's discomfort. They'd rather make you feel uncomfortable and expect you not to complain whilst completely squashing you. Then they turn around and blame everyone but themselves.
Have you or a loved one suffered on a flight due to a larger person sitting next to you? If so, please like, comment, and subscribe to our support group. You can tell us all about the hardships you've had to endure during your flight. Please know that you are not alone. And remember, this is a safe place. This is only a channel and I can't actually help you, but I am trying to grow my YouTube channel, and I heard that comments help. Either way, I want to hear them, so I would appreciate it if you would tell me anyway. I can't guarantee that I won't laugh at your stories, no matter how horrific the experience was.
The fact that they think it's unreasonable to not want to sit next to someone who takes up a lot of space just tells me how unaware they are of the impact of their large body, and how unpleasant it is to involuntarily be pressed up against one. Not every thin person has an issue with sitting next to fat people, but those that do have an issue with it isn't necessarily frustrated with you personally. They have an issue with the body you've chosen to maintain while selfishly infringing on their personal space, a space that they paid for. No one wants a stranger to touch them, let alone for hours with nowhere to go but the toilet. If you're fat and you know you're too big for most chairs, it's your responsibility to research the seats before booking, or budget for an additional seat. However, I do believe that people with a documented condition should be exempt from this rule. Other than that, I don't think people care that you can't afford another seat. They only care that your ass is on theirs. Their attitude towards this really shows their disregard for others. That's why they continue to purchase one seat when they know they really need two. I don't know if this sounds harsh, but I feel like there should be a light penalty fee for larger people if the flight is fully booked, and there's nowhere to put the inconvenienced passenger. I know it's something that will never happen, but I feel like if there is a consequence for their selfish behavior, then it might encourage them to be more responsible and considerate. I mean, you heard it yourself, they genuinely don't care that they've made their problem everyone else's problem. And they think it's funny. I think what's most annoying in all of this is that they deliberately try to compare themselves to pregnant women and tall people. Yes, some of them have issues with the seating. The only difference is, the tall person can't change their height and the pregnant lady can't put her baby in the overhead locker. You on the other hand can change, but choose not to. Okay, let's all pretend that the airlines honors their complaints and decides to make changes to the aircraft for a second. I'm not an engineer, but I took a minute to think about all of this, and I could be very wrong, but I'm gonna give you my theory on why I think it won't work using this diagram. Keep in mind that I'm imagining an all-inclusive plane for people all the way up to 700 pounds, because I'm assuming that these fat activists are speaking up for them too. And if they're not, then that's fat-phobic. Anyway, if you've never seen the layout of a plane, it looks something like this. The blue squares are the seats, the little black lines within the blue represents the armrests, and the white unmarked area are the aisles. So in order to meet their demand for larger seats to accommodate all people up to 700 pounds, the airline would have to remove every second row of seats. Then they'll have to remove every armrest, and finally, somehow increase the width of the seat, because we need maximum space for maximum inclusivity. Now if they did that, they'd lose a significant amount of their aisle, meaning that the fat people can't walk through to get to their seat and the cabin crew won't be able to hand out food. Aside from all the other obvious issues that I didn't mention, has anyone ever considered what would happen if there is an emergency? If we need to evacuate, they may slow everyone down because they're too big to squeeze through the seats. And what about this thing? Is there a weight limit on that? Are there plus-size life vests available? If they have a medical emergency, will anyone have the strength to lift them and put them on the floor for CPR? Like, I wonder if these things cross their mind at all. Not to mention, have you ever thought about the destination? Is your holiday spot even fat-friendly, sis? Anyway, I'm really hoping that made sense, because that's my theory as to why I think it's not feasible or at least possible right now. Because if you're not asking for a refurbishment, then I'm going to assume you're demanding a fleet of brand new planes for you and your fat friends, which I'm not even going to address because it's just stupid. To conclude this episode, I'd like to tell all my fat buddies out there that if you want an easier life, you have two options. You could either find the relevant information about your flight or make additional arrangements for your comfort. Or you could decide to approach weight loss with a positive mindset, rather than insist that it is a destructive way of life. Anywho, I've literally been awake for like 36 hours, so I'm gonna go to bed now because I feel like shit. But before I go, if you enjoyed the video, go ahead and leave a like, comment, and consider subscribing to my channel. I'm trying to make it to 2,000 subscribers, so you should convince a friend to do it too. After all, it's the season of giving and gifting or something. Happy holidays, and thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye.